Everybody. I am in a very different location as you may or may not be used to in our previous interviews. But for those who are maybe just joining us, my name is Kyle B. Thompson. I am the programming director of the Fort Myers Beach International Film Festival, and we're just a little over a week away to kicking off this festival in Fort Myers Beach, Florida. I think I speak for everybody who has been in the cold the past several months that we're excited to get down to sunny Florida. But before we get into that, we have an awesome filmmaker, Siena Tone, who has a beautiful film called Call of Water. I was just telling her a few moments ago before we jumped on, I had a chance to see her film for a third or fourth time at this point at the Media Film Festival here in my hometown of Philadelphia. So it's cool to see that again. But let's bring Kaya on. We're talking all about her film. Hi, Kaya. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Kyle.
Of course. Well, first off, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for submitting your film. What a
Of course.
beautiful film! And I had to remind myself when we were probably on here, it was a student film. So I mean, tell us first off, for those joining, tell us a little bit about you, sort of your background. How did you get into filmmaking? And we'll just talk about the story of this of the Call of Water.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Boulder, Colorado, or the mountains outside of it, where actually the whole film is based on and takes place where we filmed it. Was all on my home property. But now I'm living in New York. I came here for film school at NYU. What was that? 5 years ago, 2016.
That's awesome. Wow.
And I've just been here ever since. I love the city. I love film. I started doing film a little bit in high school. We had like a little cute television program. That's how we did our announcement. Me running around with kids.
Okay.
It was a good time. And that's when I was like, ooh, this is actually really fun. I've always been a writer, but I'm like, oh wow, I can do it visually too. And tell stories like that. And who doesn't want to tell the Lord of the Rings, like so
Yeah, totally.
cool shtick. So yeah, I've just sort of been doing that ever since.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
you told me earlier you just graduated in 2020. Congratulations, and NYU. It's a fantastic film school. You can't really get any better than that, to be honest with you. So let's talk a little bit of the Call of Water, right? I've seen it several times at this point. A beautiful, beautiful film. I have so many questions about the cinematography on it because I thought that was like some of the most beautiful like pictures I've seen. So sort of what inspired that story? Why did you have to tell this story at that time?
well, it's semi-autobiographical. Obviously, it goes a little bit off the deep end there at some point. So, but it's based on, like I said, my home, and I just sort of wanted to. This was my graduation film, so I wanted to tell a story as like a homage to where I'm from, as I'm living in New York and doing a very different lifestyle. So I just wanted to talk about some of the mythology around that area and sort of make it my own, and sort of do an appreciation for the place I'm from, and also a environmental aspect and call to just like protect water and protect the land. I mean, Colorado's really gorgeous, and there's a lot of environmental movements that I know about and was part of out there, especially for protecting, like the Colorado River and a lot of the aquifers and water rights out there. So all of
Nice.
those things meshed together to me just wanting to do a fantasy film. That's always where it comes down to for me. So
Awesome. Yeah. I think I mean like I said, the whole thing was great. And for those who are watching, I definitely want to play a trailer for Call of Water, which plays in our student film package on Thursday, April 28th at 6:45. So let's take a look.
There's something special here.
There's water here. It's an underground aquifer. My parents used to be obsessed.
And you're willing to give all that up?
That's so cool. So the big question I have, right,
yeah,
so kicking this off is, the one thing also, other than the acting and cinematography, is your production design. right? Because you had some pretty awesome like that face with the I don't know if it was like a some sort of animal. I couldn't. I'm from the city, so bear with me.
Yeah.
So what was the pre-production like, and sort of did you have a sort of a vision for the production design of this film, or did that come together later on? And how was that interpreted with your cinematographer? Because I think your cinematographer sort of really tied obviously the production design together really good and really made it pop on screen. So I just want to know what that relationship was like and sort of what went into the pre-production of the film.
Well, it was a lot of production work. We also, with COVID, we got canceled. We were supposed to film in March, which honestly would have been a very different film. Would have been winter. So we got pushed to August. So I had already been working on it I had written it the summer before. So it had almost been like a year already of pre-production. So then when we got pushed, we got even more time to work on it. But the production designer is actually my sister, Siena Tone.
Oh, wow.
Production design now, but she was the production designer on this. So that helped a lot because she knows my brain inside and out, obviously. She's my sister. So she just has a great eye for making something out of nothing. Like that whole skull and like the horns of the horned one is tinfoil and masking tape that she painted. Like
no kidding.
Handmade, measured on my head. So it was a lot of like late nights of her like putting things on my head as I'm doing schedules and stuff like that, to make it all come together. And then my cinematographer is actually one of my best friends, Alex Woolen. He shot my other film, my first short ever at NYU. We went to school together, and he's just
okay. I was gonna ask, did you guys go to NYU together? Okay.
Yeah, that's where we met. He's incredibly
nice.
talented, just like an artist. So when I was like,
okay,
this is the vibe that I want, and I showed him pictures of where we were shooting, he was like, I can do that. I was like, okay,
right.
He was like,
that's
Colorado's
awesome.
do all the work. It'll be fine. I was like, okay, great. So
that's incredible. So did your sister? I know you just mentioned a second ago that she does production design now. Did she sort of get into production design because of these projects, or was she always like in love with production design?
So I sort of forced her into it when I went to film school. I'm older, so I went. He was like, comic books and stuff, and I was like, that's great. You know what's also really fun? Film. So she still wants to do all that, but she got into production because I was like, you're a talented artist. She's a very good painter, and drawer, and she knows how to design well. So I was like, you would be good at this. And she's always been like, the kid until she was like 16 doing costumes and just running around in the backyard with like these elaborate, like, you should see our Halloween costumes. It's a little insane. She's really good putting things together. So she's always been that way. So this was her first official time being a production designer. I'm pretty like from memory, I think this was time. And she killed it, knocked it out of the park, obviously. Like I was just blown away when she put it all together. That's also her boyfriend who plays the horned one. I was like, I need a big, tall dude. And I was like, perfect. Perfect.
So,
yeah. So it was great.
That's awesome. So so the locations, obviously from New York City, when we first watched the film, we're like, man, where was it shot? And when we found out you were from New York, we're like, well, it couldn't have been shot there unless there was some weird location that we don't know about. I mean, how did you find those locations? And I guess my sort of tied in question back to your sister is like, was she a part of picking the locations as a production designer? Because I also think that was, played a big part of the story, and especially out in nature and water. And so I just wanted to know, did you guys do a location scout, or how did you guys find those locations?
Yeah, so like I said, we were born and grew up there. So I was like, so the whole story was written with a lot of these places in my mind, but it wasn't like specific yet. So when I went back for, I think it was winter break, me and my sister tromped around in the snow for hours to all the different ideas that were in my head of possible locations. And she was there for picking it out and helping me. And then we were like FaceTiming and recording a lot of it for my cinematographer. And he was able to be like, this one has better natural lighting. Cause all of it was naturally lit other than the cabin scene.
Oh, wow.
All it was just daylight and shaping
Okay.
daylight. So he was really looking at it from a, lighting camera perspective and like what's going to look the most appetizing in terms of depth and stuff. And my sister was like, this has the mood we're going for, whatever.
Right.
Production design stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we all like sort of worked together. Us three were like a really big team coming on to it. Like we're there the whole time, making a lot of the creative decisions together as like three
That's
different
awesome.
departments. Yeah, it was
That's
all.
really
It was,
cool.
yeah,
So
it
did
was
you
fun.
guys have to? I guess because you guys mentioned your cinematographer you met in NYU. So you guys had to have flown out to obviously for this shoot. Did you guys have a crew out there, or did somebody obviously you guys pull some people from your class to come out there? Like, what was that like, and what was the hiring process like of the crew, especially out traveling states? It's like definitely a big uptaking.
Oh, it was a little bit insane. It was fun because the other thing is it was still COVID. So there was this huge question of like, what do we do about this and how do we make this safe? So the people that came were definitely coming on being like, well, if I have to quarantine here for 2 weeks, I'm quarantining here for 2 weeks. And like us doing this whole COVID protocol on top of everything. But yeah, half the crew was from NYU, which meant some were coming from New York, some were coming from California, and flying in, and then the rest of
Oh,
them
wow.
were Colorado based. So, my main actress, Trinity Simpson's actually my cousin, who just happens to be
Whoa.
an actress who lives in Denver. So I was like, come on in, and she was always going to be Nadia from the very beginning. So she was there, luckily local, and a lot of the crew came on that was local. And then, yeah, my cinematographer, my assistant director, who also plays one of the friend characters, is
Okay.
an kid, and one of my best friends, he flew out from California. So we're all
Wow.
everywhere, flying to Colorado and meeting up there and living at my house for a week to film this. So
That's awesome. I mean, so you sort of stole my other question. Is I wanted to learn a little bit more about the casting process. You already hinted at one was your cousin, which again, phenomenal. I thought the whole cast was great.
Yeah.
So did you? It sounds like you knew everybody already before going into this, which I think makes for a really easy production in most cases. So
Yeah.
was there any of the casting process that like you just weren't sure of who you were gonna get, and it just sort of came together, or did you already like write the script in mind of like, oh, these are the people that I want to put in?
It was a little bit of both. It was funny because I was going through the casting process. So I had my cousin audition. Like I was like, I really want her to be it, but I had never seen her act. I had only like heard that she was an actress, and I was like, everyone says they're an actress. Okay. I was like,
Right,
do
right.
your audition. Like, no, she's amazing. So I casted her right away, and I was really struggling finding the Brett character, which was the best guy friend character.
Yeah.
Because I also was trying to like, condense as many roles as possible. So I was like, he would play the horned one also. So I wanted it to be that he played both roles, for casting's sake and for condensing amount of crew and cast and stuff on set. So I was having a hard time, and I casted someone actually in Colorado who I had never met, and then we got canceled week of from COVID. I was supposed to film the
Whoa.
11th of March. So like that week we got
Yikes.
shut down. So everything had to go on hold, and when that happened, I sort of had to reshuffle a lot of the casting process. And when I asked my friend, like, hey, I'm looking for an assistant director, he was like, yeah, and I act, right? And I was like, sure. And he like sent me an audition, and I was like, okay, yeah, you can act too. Great, come on in here. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a
That
little
definitely
bit
helps
like
people.
things, and that's how my sister's boyfriend ended up as the horn one, because I was like, who wants to
Wow.
be dressed in body paint for several days?
Well, I think that's also like helpful, especially in times of COVID, right? I mean, you definitely have I mean, I think every independent filmmaker, I think I speak for hopefully everyone watching, is right. We wear many hats, and I think
Yes.
you also got really creative with the actors also being a part of the crew, which especially in COVID times we had to do that more often than not.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I mean, well done on that. But also
Thank
it's
you.
great that like all the pieces sort of fell into place for you. I mean, it sounds like
Thank God. Like it all came together somehow. I have no idea how, but it did.
that's
Yeah.
wow, yeah, and it shows for it, and you should be really really proud of this film. And this is actually always a question I
Thank
like
you.
to ask every filmmaker is like what are you most proud of this project?
I mean, honestly, it was the cast and the crew that I'm just like so thankful for and proud of. Like I had even talking to them now, 2 years later, they still think back to that time as like that was maybe one of the most fun sets we had been on, just because everyone who
Nice,
was there wanted to be there and put 120% into it. They were like all throwing out ideas, and we were all just like really working to make this film like as best as possible and like really pushing for it. So it all came together in this incredible way because of all the people around it that were on set and even in post. Just like the guys that did my VFX were like, I'm just going to do this because it's fun and I want it to look good, and they put in so much extra time. My editor nuts and had just like beautiful, my sound editor, I don't know, like my composers, everyone, I was just like, they were all just like putting in 120% because they wanted
that's
to,
awesome. Yeah,
which was
I think
amazing.
the editing was also great too, because you had a lot of like definitely like fast paced like jump cuts, and I thought the editing definitely helped play into the timing of the film too. Which I mean, I feel like every aspect of your film sort of came together. There wasn't a single thing that I would say was out of place. So that's confidence to your directorial skills. And so where are we with this with the film? Like is this the beginning? I mean, I know you guys shot it right before COVID, right in the midst of COVID. Are we at the beginning of the festival circuit? Are we sort of at the end? What's your plans for the future of Call of Water? I'm just sort of curious about where we're hoping to see this go.
Oh, I mean, I'm hoping for it to get into as many places as possible and for as many people to see it as possible. I'd say we've been submitting to a lot of places, and we're just sort of starting to get it like shown to a bunch of things. I know this summer it's going to be going around, which is great.
Nice.
So I'm really excited for it to just like get out there and be seen by people. It is sort of like my directorial debut in some ways, so I'm like just wanting to see sort of what it does and where it goes, and I'm sort of along for the ride, I guess.
That's
But
awesome.
I'm enjoying it. It's been really fun. So yeah,
That's incredible. I think I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm sure it's going to get into a whole bunch, and I think everybody who comes to the screening on the 28th is going to enjoy it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So where can we keep up with you? I mean, you have a right. If we want to continue to follow you and your work, I think you have a lot of. We're excited to see the sort of the future of you. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're going to be coming out with. So how do we keep in touch? How do we keep in touch with the success of Call of Water, and tell us where we can find you?
definitely. I'm on Instagram, as in a lot of people, and so is the film and my production company that I actually have with my sister. So if you want to
Nice.
see what we're both up to, we have a production company and an Instagram, Tone Film Productions. And I'm just kaya.tone at Instagram. But that's like where I do a lot of my updates for both Call of Water and the other stuff I'm doing.
Great.
More so than like Facebook and stuff, but Instagram connects, so it's all the same. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, cool.
that's like
Everyone watching, definitely connect. But Kaya, thank you first off. Thank you so much for again sharing your film. I won't take up too much of your time, but I wanted to say thank you so much, and I appreciate everything. And again, loved your film, and I'm excited to have the audience down in Florida see it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you
Of
to
course.
for my I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you so much. Take care. All right, guys. Well, that was awesome, guys. Again, Call of Water plays Thursday, April 28th at 6:45. Check it out. It's a beautiful film, like Kaya just said. It's an awesome, awesome film. It has such, great cinematography, and the storyline is so great. So please come check it out. Tickets go on sale actually tomorrow, matter of fact. So stay tuned, guys. We have another interview coming up. But for now, guys, my name is Kyle B. Thompson. I'm the programming director of the Fort Myers Beach Film Festival. There's my Twitter handle, Instagram, Facebook. Come say hi. Looking forward to seeing everybody in just under a week's time. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.